Hey everybody, in this episode I have with me the world famous Greg Jacobs. Greg, how you doing?
Well, very good, and thank you very much for having me on the call today, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, it's great to have you here because you're actually doing something that I think is really cool. As a local angel investor, I'm always talking to entrepreneurs that are looking to raise capital. And one thing that I tell a lot of people is you're probably right for crowdfunding, like Kickstarter or something like that. And you, sir, have made quite a bit of money doing crowdfunding.
Yes. Well, our first product that we went and released on crowdfunding has raised a little over $500,000 so far. And what we've learned during the crowdfunding process is that it's not actually as far away and mysterious as a lot of people think. Because when you think of crowdfunding, the first thing you think is like, well, I can't do that. That's like, that's out of my skill range. I don't know how to do that. But once you actually break it down into little digestible parts, it's just like any other marketing initiative. You just have to know the steps to take.
Yeah. So let's say you're in an elevator with one of like your big like a business idol that you're really into, and you have like 15 seconds to give them your elevator pitch of what you do and how you do it. What is that?
Well, I would say that I'm in the physical products industry, and we use crowdfunding as a medium to go and launch our products. So we come up with the idea, and then instead of putting them out there and trying to, get marketing and market share in another way, we put them directly onto a crowdfunding site as a marketing medium.
So what's like your favorite crowdfunding website?
Well, there's probably about 24 out there right now, but the two big ones are Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and each one of them has an advantage over the other depending on the exact purposes that you're doing. So I've been familiar with both of them.
Okay, nice. And the $500,000 that you raised, what site was that on?
That was on Indiegogo.
Indiegogo. Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like, I guess what's working for you now? Are you working on any projects, or is that something that you're continually launching on Kickstarter? Or are you helping other people, or what's your day look like?
Everything that you just said. Our initial crowdfunding project was a massive success. So right now we're in the process, our team of doing fulfillment and delivery in terms of the hardware and that. And we're taking that and we're building it into a brand. So when we say we raised $500,000 on Indiegogo for that's basically just step one in what we hope will become a significantly viable business as it expands into other mediums and such. Okay, but we're not necessarily just resting on our laurels. We kind of had that big aha moment after launching our crowdfunding campaign that we were kind of stumbling across the infancy of something great. This is kind of like when the internet first came out, or if you could buy domain names back before anybody had domain names, you could buy a domain name for $10, and now that same domain name costs like $500,000.
Yeah.
So this formula that we have, the 1, 2, 3, it's absolutely invaluable, and we actually are in process of replicating it both with ourselves, our students, and our clients.
So what's a 1, 2, 3?
Well, 9 out of 10 people that launch a crowdfunding campaign, I don't know the exact stats, but I think they fail. And almost all of these people, they repeat the exact same mistake, okay? And that mistake is most people come up with their crowdfunding campaign, their idea, their video, their page, and they just throw it out there, and they're like, all right, it's here. But that fails 9 out of 10 times. And the reason that it fails is to do a successful crowdfunding campaign, it's like any other business. You need to go and do a launch. You need to go and gather pre-interest. You have to build the excitement. And then on the opening day, you need to go ahead and send them to the page. By doing that, that goes and kicks in the algorithms of the crowdfunding site, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or any of the others, and it creates kind of a network spillover effect. So you need to be responsible for your first, batch of traffic, and after they see that traffic, then their network will start sending it. Just putting it up there alone without sending your first batch of traffic, 9 out of 10 fail.
Nice. I mean, that's really interesting that you guys have this dialed in. And I guess for anybody that doesn't know what crowdfunding is, what would be your explain like I'm 5? What is crowdfunding?
Okay, so traditionally, the traditional business model that most product creators, either physical products or information products, have is they spend lots and lots of time and hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars developing their product. and then they go ahead and put it out there and hope somebody buys it, okay? Which is a great model. Now, with crowdfunding, now don't ask me how this happens or why it keeps happening, but somehow the public has embraced it and loves it, is with crowdfunding is you get a proof of concept, you get a prototype, and you present to the world that saying, this is what I want to sell, and if you want to help me fund the manufacturing of this, I'll give you, this discount or this perk. So you're actually getting the community to you take a basic idea and a prototype and get the community to verify it and support it before you have to go and spend all that money doing the manufacturing.
So that's what I think is really cool is you basically come up with like an MVP, right? Like a minimum viable product. You come up with an idea. Yes. Maybe you put some development dollars into it, but you basically prove the concept by making sure that there's a demand and an interest and basically a hungry audience that wants whatever you're developing.
Exactly. And, in our case, we went and we developed a prototype, and we went and fleshed out, what our manufacturing costs are going to be for this. And we took that and we presented it to people, and we're like, do you want this? And $500,000 later, the answer was resoundingly yes.
Nice. So are you working with other like inventors and entrepreneurs to show them how to do this?
Well, not on purpose, but it seems to have happened that way because, we have a lot of people. We know a lot of people in our extended network, and my friend would come up to me and they'd be like, how did you do that? And I'm like, okay, well, I did this, this, and this. And another person's like, how did you do that? I'm like, this, this, and this. And then I started to write it down, and I started to get my hands in. I started to help them. And I realized it's just like a little bit of help, a little twist here and a little push here. It could be the difference between a campaign that does nothing and raises millions of dollars.
That's really interesting. So how much money outside of your own products have you guys raised so far?
I don't understand the question. Can you repeat that?
Said you were helping other people. Like you have your internal products that you're working on. Like the people that you've been working with, how much money have you raised with them?
Okay. So one person that I know, he's actually 75 years old, and he's a self-described tech turkey. He went and raised $350,000 on his product. Nice. Now, now that's really interesting because, you and myself, our age, our generation, we were basically born with laptops in our lap. We're the tech generation. So people think, we can do crowdfunding. That's easy for those guys. But this guy, almost no tech experience. He knew just how to check his email. And, with a few tips and tricks, he raised over $350,000 for his product. And that's just one of the examples.
That's awesome.
I have some other friends, and they went and did some socks. So there were socks when you go and buy the pair of socks, it goes and donates money to a charity. Now, what's really interesting about them is on their initial campaign, I think it was just like $25,000, but that went and spearheaded them into a real proper business that they're scaling and is doing quite awesome right now.
Okay, amazing, man. So what's the one biggest challenge that you've faced with that business? Because I know you've probably been in quite a few different things, but specifically with crowdfunding, what's the biggest challenge that you've run into?
Well, for somebody trying to start from scratch, there's typically, I guess we want to say three obstacle points that they need to get through. One is, market product selection and niche. Now, some people are approaching crowdfunding as just a pure entrepreneur where they're like, okay, let me go find the product that I can sell the most and I can make the most money on. Other people are approaching crowdfunding as like, I have had this idea for years and I want to get this idea out there. Okay. Now, the people that are approaching it as an entrepreneur generally don't have a problem with finding a viable product because their goal is to just get something that people want and make money. So they're adjusting to the market. Now, the people who I guess are inventors, they sometimes have issues because they're trying to make the market mold to their vision. Now, if they succeed, they can succeed big, but it's also a little bit harder for them, if that makes sense. Right. Issue number 2 is getting the initial pre-launch traffic. Like we talked about earlier, if you just throw your product out there, your page out there, and hope for the best, you're going to fail 9 out of 10 times. So people that do a crowdfunding campaign need to have a coherent plan on how to go and drive massive amounts of traffic via PR, press releases, different sorts of free or paid methods to their page to get that initial boost in traffic. Issue number 3 that people have is product delivery, product QA, and but that goes with any sort of product. But people can get through that.
So basically, you got to come up with the right product for the right market. You've got to market it correctly, and then you got to fulfill it.
Hey, guess what? It's just like any other business.
Yeah. What I think is so cool about crowdfunding is it opens up a whole new level of opportunity for people that are kind of past the friends and family stage. Like if you have an idea and say you're working on, I don't know, a trinket, some kind of new, luxury watch or something, and you need, say, not quite like the angel investor venture capital amount of money, like $500,000 to $5 million. Say you only need like $50,000 to a couple $100,000. That's not going to be enough to really attract angel investors or venture capitalists, and it might be a little too much for like friends and family, right? Yeah. So, and I feel like that's where a lot of products can really do well, is in that stage where if you can pre-sell a few hundred to a few thousand copies of it, it can really be the difference between just an idea and bringing something to the mass market.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. Is it basically makes it within reach of the everyday person. It puts the opportunity out there because, in this day and age, everything is becoming distributed. There's no longer, central authorities that you have to go through to do things. And this is in anything, not just in crowdfunding. So with this it allows you to connect directly to the customers of your product, and they can vote with their wallets. If they look at your widget or your dongle that you're making and saying, I want one of those, and they're going to fund you. And if they don't think it's a good thing, then they won't. And, they'll tell you better if it's going to succeed than an angel investor. And an angel investor is just throwing it against the wall and maybe it sticks. But if the consumers are buying it, you're onto something really, really good.
That's so true, because a lot of times investors, and I'm a part of some angel networks here in Austin, we like to think we're really smart, but the smartest person to ask is a consumer. And the cool thing about crowdfunding is you're not just taking a survey, you're saying, hey,
they're giving you their money.
Make a pledge. Yeah,
they're giving you the money.
Yeah.
If they're giving you the money, obviously something's going on and they really, really want that thing.
Yeah. So is there a market or a niche or specific products that you've seen that do better than others, or is it just kind of all over the place?
Oh, it can be all over the place. But what we've noticed through looking at our stats and some of our friends' stats and our partner stats is there's a certain type of person called, okay, so let's say I'm launching a product. Just pick a niche, for example. I'll give you a practical example. Pick a niche.
Healthcare, like supplements or workout gear.
Let's say workout. Let's say like the workout gear. Okay. Now, if I was launching a type of workout gear, and I looked at my stats and I was able to quantify them, and I had a successful campaign. At the end of that campaign, I would find that about 50% of the people that bought my product are like workout people. They're people, who are actively getting into working out in the health and fitness industry, and they see this thing, they're like, oh, I need this exactly for this. Right. But digging deeper into the stats, we find that the other 50% of the people are what we like to call crowdfunding groupies. These are people who go to crowdfunding sites every day and have become just, enamored and addicted to just buying as many crowdfunding products as they see or pledging to them. So when you're doing your marketing, half your sales are going to come from your niche, and then half your sales are going to come from people who just like to buy stuff that's on crowdfunding.
So it's kind of like being in a mall of like crowdfunding products. Like you have people that just love to shop and they're just walking down the mall and they're like, oh, that's neat, that's neato, that's neato, I want that, even though, and then the other half are people who are like actually like specifically already knew they had a need for your product. Okay, interesting. So
if you wanted to target something, with the best chance of success, it has to be accessible to these crowdfunding groupies because they're going to make up half of your sales.
Okay, that's interesting. So instead of just like the typical route, like going after people that already want your product, you're going after them, but then you can like double your sales just by being in this crowdfunding groupie mall or community.
More or less, and it's, you don't have to, there's not really a community, but it's just having a product that's accessible and appeals to them. It's not too far off from where the needle is, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I bought quite a bit of stuff off of there, and it's
you, Chris.
It is. I mean,
yeah, that's you right there.
Kind of perusing through and like even my wallet. I don't know. I guess I have my wallet on here. I bought this thing that it was like just a stupid, simple little wallet because I love to be like streamlined. And
you didn't know you needed that.
No, I didn't. I mean, I knew that I like small wallets, but the video and the pitch was just so good, and I'm like, man, that's great. And it turned out to be the best wallet I've ever had. Now, so I have a whole bunch of them, but.
Now you buy every wallet that comes out on a crowdfunding site.
Exactly. What would you say is like the biggest differentiating factor between the campaigns that get funded that meet their goal and the ones that don't? And maybe even explain how that works, because like I guess some people don't know that if you pledge and the person doesn't meet their goal, like it doesn't get funded, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the platform. I mean, I don't want to get too much into to geek out on the specifics of it. We can save that for another call. But that's the case in Kickstarter. With Indiegogo, depending on what option you select, you could take partial funding as well.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Yeah. So what's like the biggest difference that you see for campaigns that succeed and for campaigns that fail? Is it the marketing, or is it the just
pre-launch? Pre-launch. It's knowing where your first batch of sales is going to come to on the opening day. Just putting your campaign up there and hoping for the best you're doomed. You might get lucky. There's people that have gotten lucky, but more or less you're doomed.
So basically, if you can start off with a bang and people see a jump towards that goal, all the other
you need the way that I've told the people that I've consulted is you need to start off knowing. You basically set your initial goal at a place where you can hit that initial goal in your first day based off the sales that you're driving yourself. Okay. And if you can do that, then the algorithms on the sites are going to take over, and then they're going to start sending you organic traffic.
Gotcha. So was your goal on the first one that you did the $500,000, what was your initial goal?
Our goal was much lower. Our goal was what we thought we could go ahead and drive in the first day. Whereas our real goal, which we didn't put on there, was significantly more, which we also made.
Okay.
So you don't want to actually put your goal as your goal. You're actually trying to game the algorithms of the system.
I got you. So if you're like, I want to make $500,000, maybe you'll put it at 150,000 or 50,000.
Yeah, 50,000 or 100,000, something like that.
Okay.
You don't actually put it at $500,000, and your numbers look better if you put it lower. So if you have a campaign that let's say your goal is 50,000 and you raise 500,000, you know what it shows up on the page? Raised 1,000% of their goal. Look, it sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah. People go, oh man, this thing's in demand. This is
as opposed to if you raise only 400,000 out of 500,000, you're like, oh, 80% of the way there. It's not exciting.
Yeah.
It's a new industry, and you have to learn how to game it. And it's not gaming in a bad way. It's just like
it's like anything else. You have to maximize your chance of success. Otherwise, nobody wins. Nobody's going to get the product.
Yeah, or else we go home, or else we just go back to our day job.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who's like just getting started in this, or say they have an idea and they're like, man, I've been working on this project or thinking about this. What are the steps they should take, or how should they get started, or some pitfalls they should avoid?
Well, there's a lot of companies out there that will, they'll try to offer like crowdfunding consulting services, and this is a minefield. For every one that's great, there's four that will just like waste your time and your money. So that's definitely something that you do need to go and be aware of. But you're just starting from scratch, and you're and you need a place to start. I think the first thing to do is you need to go and determine how much your product's going to cost, and then you need to really start to think about your niche. You got to think about where are you going to get your first batch of traffic, and you got to start to do some initial marketing outreach and excitement on your own as well. And like I said, you can't just throw the product up there and hope for the best. You have to go and create your own first batch of sales.
Right. You need to go in with a plan. It's not like just build it and hope that they come, right? Like
it doesn't work.
You got to be strategic about it. Awesome. Yeah. Well, what we'll do is, and I appreciate your time. We'll link up your website below, and I'm sure you've got some free stuff that you can give out just to help anybody that's looking to get started.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and get that over to you, and you can go ahead and link that up for them. And this is my gift to you.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man, because I talk to people pretty much every week, entrepreneurs here in Austin or people online that are like, Chris, I have an idea, or I've been working on something and I've been failing for a while. How do I get funding? And what I say, and what I've even heard like the sharks, on Shark Tank on TV say is like, go beat the streets, go get sales, prove that the product works. And I think that crowdfunding is the absolute best way to do that.
Well, I know we're wrapping up, but let me just tell you a really quick story. And it's really funny because normally you have to go apply to Shark Tank and chase them. They actually chased us and reached out to us, and we turned them down.
Nice.
And it's really funny because normally it's the other way around, because the crowdfunding got us to a place where we knew our product was awesome. We had all the systems in place to scale and expand. So it's like we will take investment at some point, but we didn't need investment like that. So it's really interesting when the market actually speaks and you go and get the sales. Sometimes you can really start doing things on your own.
Yeah. That's awesome, man, to be able to have that leverage and know that investors, they see that the product works, they see that people want it, and then they'll come chasing you down. And hopefully you won't need to raise any money after you do a crowdfunding campaign. Hopefully it'll just take off organically. And I know there have been people that have made millions and even tens of millions of dollars making products through that. So
yeah, and whether to take money or not, that's another story. There's always good reasons to take money or good reasons not to, but that's the story for another call.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Greg, I really appreciate your input, man. Thank you so much. Guys, click below. We'll link up his website, and it's not something that he just is out there doing for everybody. I know he's focused on creating his own products, but he is looking for people with good ideas and people that really want to raise capital through crowdfunding. So any last comments or last words of advice for anybody?
No. Thank you very much for your time. And, it's there. It's there. You just have to take it.
Yep. Awesome. All right, Greg. Well, thanks a lot, man. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Bye-bye.